The young man standing outside my front door looked familiar. His shoulders were trembling. His eyes were red, as if he'd been crying for hours. For a moment, I thought he had the wrong address. Then he quietly spoke. "Mom." The word hit me harder than anything I'd ever heard. I hadn't heard anyone call me that in 10 years. I stared at him. He looked older, taller. His little freckles had disappeared. His voice was deeper now. But those eyes, they were still my little boy's eyes. "Ethan?" He nodded. Then he held up a small cardboard box. "I found these." My hands began to shake. "What is it?" His voice cracked. "My birthdays, my Christmases, my report cards. You were there, and I never knew." Before I could say another word, he broke down crying. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I believed him." Introduction. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 44 years old. People think the hardest part of losing a child is the silence. They're wrong. The hardest part is hearing them laugh from someone else's house, knowing they're only 15 minutes away, but feeling like they live on another planet. For 10 years, I celebrated my son's birthday alone. Every year, I bought him exactly one gift. I wrapped it carefully, wrote his name on the tag, then placed it inside the closet that no one but me ever opened. People told me to move on, to let go, to start over. They didn't understand. A mother doesn't stop being a mother because a judge signs a piece of paper. 10 years earlier, I still believed love could fix anything. Michael and I had been married for 11 years. We weren't the couple who screamed at each other. We weren't throwing plates or sleeping in separate rooms. Our marriage ended the way most marriages actually do, quietly. One disappointment at a time. Until one morning, we woke up as strangers. Michael wasn't a bad man. That's what made everything so confusing. He worked hard. He paid the bills. He never forgot Ethan's birthday. He never missed a soccer game. If you met him for 5 minutes, you'd probably think he was the perfect husband. Maybe that's why nobody believed me when things started changing. It started with little comments. "You worry too much. You've become too emotional. Why can't you just relax?" At first, I laughed them off. Marriage isn't perfect. Everyone says things they don't mean. But then, those little comments became bigger ones. "Ethan shouldn't see you crying. You're making the house stressful. You've changed." Eventually, I started asking myself, what if he was right? The truth was, I wasn't okay. 6 months earlier, I'd lost my mother. She wasn't just my mom. She was my best friend. I was grieving. And instead of asking, "What do you need?" Michael kept asking, "When will you be normal again?" Grief doesn't follow a schedule. But some people expect it to. One rainy evening, I came home from work early. The house was unusually quiet. "Ethan?" No answer. I walked into the living room. Michael was helping Ethan build a model airplane. The two of them were laughing. I smiled. "I thought we'd order pizza tonight." Ethan looked excited. "Can we?" Before Michael could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, then quickly stood up. "I have to take this." He walked outside, closing the patio door behind him. I watched him through the glass. His expression changed immediately. Serious. Focused. He kept looking toward the house, making sure we couldn't hear him. When he came back inside, I asked, "Everything okay?" He smiled. "Just work." I believed him. Because trust isn't something you question until it's already broken. Later that night, I tucked Ethan into bed. He looked unusually thoughtful. "Mom?" "Yeah, sweetheart?" He hesitated, then quietly asked, "If mommies and daddies stop loving each other, do they stop loving their kids too?" My heart stopped. I forced a smile. "Who told you that?" "No one. It was just a question." I sat beside him, holding his little hand. "Listen to me very carefully. No matter what happens, no matter where life takes us, there is absolutely nothing that could ever make me stop loving you." He smiled. "Promise?" I kissed his forehead. "I promise." He hugged me tightly. Neither of us knew that within a few months, that promise would become the only thing I had left. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of pancakes. For a second, I smiled. Michael only made breakfast when he wanted to apologize. Maybe I had imagined everything. Maybe we were going to be okay. When I walked into the kitchen, Ethan was already sitting at the table. His face was covered in syrup. He looked at me and grinned. Mom, Dad made Mickey Mouse pancakes, I laughed. They're a little lopsided, Michael shrugged. They still taste the same. For a few minutes, it felt like we were a family again. The kind of morning you remember years later. The kind that tricks you into believing nothing bad could ever happen. After Ethan left for school, Michael cleared his throat. We need to talk. Those 4 words have destroyed more lives than people realize. I slowly sat down. What about? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stared into his coffee. I don't think we're happy anymore. I felt my stomach tighten. What are you saying? I think we should separate. I blinked. No, you're angry. We'll figure this out. This isn't about anger. Then what is it? He looked at me. We've become different people. I laughed. Became? I've been the same woman you married, he quietly replied. No, you haven't. His words stayed with me, long after he left for work. Maybe because a small part of me was afraid he believed them. Grief had changed me. It had made me quieter, more emotional, more tired. But grief isn't a personality flaw. It's love, with nowhere to go. That afternoon, I picked Ethan up from school. He climbed into the car, holding a drawing. Look, it was our family. 3 stick figures, 1 house, 1 big yellow sun. I smiled. I love it. He pointed at the tallest figure. That's Dad. Then the smaller one. That's you, and that's me. I noticed something strange. The father was standing in the middle, holding Ethan's hand. I wasn't. Sweetheart, why am I over here? He shrugged innocently. Because Dad said. He's the one who keeps everyone together. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Children repeat what they hear. They don't invent it. That night, I waited until Ethan was asleep. Then I confronted Michael. Did you tell Ethan that you're the one keeping this family together? He sighed. I don't remember. You don't remember? It was probably a joke. It wasn't funny. He leaned back in his chair. Sarah, you're overreacting. There it was again. That word. Overreacting. Funny how often people use it when they don't want to take responsibility. Over the next few weeks, little things began changing. Every time I said no to Ethan, Michael quietly said yes. If I limited video games, he bought Ethan a new console. If I suggested a family movie night, Michael surprised him with tickets to an amusement park. I wasn't just losing arguments. I was slowly becoming the parent who always disappointed him. One Friday evening, I walked past Ethan's bedroom. His door was slightly open. I heard Michael's voice, soft, almost comforting. You know, if your mom and I ever live in different houses, you'll always have a room with me. My heart stopped. Ethan's tiny voice answered. Will Mom be sad? Michael paused, then quietly said, Your mom gets sad about a lot of things. I stood frozen in the hallway, not because he had lied, but because he had planted a seed. A child doesn't need to be told who to love. All you have to do is make one parent seem safer than the other. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I walked into Ethan's room. He was asleep, holding the stuffed dinosaur I'd bought him when he was 3. I gently kissed his forehead and silently promised myself, no matter what happened between Michael and me, I would never make Ethan choose. Because no child should ever feel like loving one parent means betraying the other. I had no idea that someone else had already started making that choice for him. 3 months later, our divorce became official. People always imagine divorce as one dramatic fight, one explosive argument, one slammed door. The truth? Most marriages end long before the paperwork begins. The signatures are just the funeral. The hardest part wasn't dividing the house, or the savings, or deciding who got the car. The hardest part was deciding where Ethan would sleep. Because no piece of paper can divide a child's heart. Our lawyer suggested shared custody. I agreed immediately. Michael didn't. He needs stability. His attorney spoke calmly. One primary residence is in Ethan's best interest. I looked across the table. He's talking about our son, not a vacation home. Michael avoided my eyes. I just think it's what's best. For who? I whispered. He never answered. The custody hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning. I remember every detail. The gray courthouse walls, the smell of old paper, the nervous tapping of my own fingers. I kept telling myself, whatever happens, Ethan knows I love him. That thought was the only thing keeping me together. Before we entered the courtroom, I knelt beside Ethan. He looked so small in his little navy blue sweater. His backpack still hung from one shoulder. He looked more ready for school than for a courtroom. I smiled. Nervous? He nodded. A little. I brushed his hair back. You don't have to worry. No matter what happens today, you don't have to choose between us. He looked at me strangely. What do you mean? Before I could answer, our names were called. Inside, everything felt colder. The judge was kind, gentle, the kind of person who had probably seen hundreds of broken families. She smiled at Ethan. Good morning, he whispered. Good morning. The adults spoke for almost an hour. Lawyers argued. Documents were passed around. Words like custody, parental rights, financial responsibility filled the room. Ethan didn't understand any of them. He just sat quietly, swinging his feet beneath the chair. Finally, the judge looked toward him. Ethan, her voice softened. I have one question. You can answer honestly. No one will be angry. I felt my heartbeat quicken. She smiled kindly. If you could choose, which parent would you like to live with? The room became completely silent. I looked at Ethan and smiled. Not because I was confident, because I wanted him to know, whatever he said, I would still love him. He looked at me, then at Michael, back at me again, his tiny hands twisted together. I could see he was scared. Then he quietly spoke. I want to live with my dad. Time stopped. I heard the words, but they didn't make sense. Surely, I'd imagined them. Surely, my little boy, who still asked me to check for monsters under his bed, hadn't just chosen someone else. The judge nodded gently. Thank you, Ethan. She wasn't surprised. Neither was Michael. Only I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. I forced myself to smile, because the one thing I refused to do was make Ethan feel guilty. The hearing ended. People stood. Chairs scraped against the floor. Lawyers shook hands. Life moved on. Mine didn't. Outside the courtroom, Ethan ran toward me. His little face was covered in tears. I'm sorry, Mom. I knelt immediately. Hey, you never have to apologize for telling the truth, he cried harder. I don't want you to be alone. My heart broke all over again. I hugged him tightly. You listen to me. No matter where you live, I will always be your mom. You can't lose me. Ever. He buried his face into my shoulder. I love you. I love you more. Those were the last words my son ever said to me before he moved into his father's house. I didn't know it then, but 10 years would pass before I heard them again. That evening, I walked into Ethan's bedroom. His dinosaur pajamas were still folded neatly on the bed. His favorite baseball glove sat beside the closet. A tiny pair of sneakers waited by the door. The room looked exactly the same. Except the little boy who belonged there was gone. I sat on his bed, holding the stuffed dinosaur. And for the first time since the divorce began, I allowed myself to cry. Not because I'd lost a case. Not because I'd lost a marriage. Because I had just watched my 8-year-old son carry a suitcase into a life where I couldn't tuck him into bed anymore. As the sun set outside his bedroom window, I opened my nightstand drawer, pulled out a small wrapped gift. On the tag, I slowly wrote, Happy 9th birthday, Ethan. Then I placed it inside the closet. I told myself, maybe one day he'll open this door again. Maybe one day he'll know. I never stopped buying them. I never stopped believing he'd come home. The first morning, after Ethan moved out, I woke up at 6 o'clock, exactly like always. For a few seconds, I forgot. I walked toward his bedroom, ready to wake him up for school. Then I opened the door. Silence. The bed was perfectly made. His school bag was gone. His shoes were gone. His laughter was gone. Only the room remained, waiting, just like I was. People always ask, when did you finally move on? The truth? I never did. I simply learned how to keep living. There's a difference. Every Friday, I still drove past Ethan's elementary school. Not because I expected him to see me, because for 7 years, that road had been part of my life. Some habits don't disappear just because your heart gets broken. The first birthday after the divorce, I stood in a toy store, holding the exact Lego spaceship Ethan had begged me for months earlier. The cashier smiled. "Birthday gift?" I smiled back. "Yes." "How old?" I swallowed hard. 9. She wrapped it beautifully. Blue paper. Silver ribbon. I drove all the way to Michael's house. The gift sat on the passenger seat. I parked across the street. I watched children run into the backyard. I saw balloons. I heard laughter. Then, I saw Ethan. He looked so happy. For one impossible second, I almost got out of the car. Almost. Then I noticed a woman carrying the birthday cake. She wasn't Michael's girlfriend. She wasn't family. Just one of the neighbors helping. But suddenly, I felt like I didn't belong there anymore. I quietly drove away. The gift came back home with me. That night, I placed it inside the closet, beside the birthday gift, for next year. The years passed, one birthday at a time. Age 10, a baseball glove. Age 11, a telescope. Age 12, a guitar. Age 13, a leather journal. Age 14, a camera. Every gift, carefully wrapped. Every tag, written in my handwriting. Every year, hoping. Every year, waiting. People thought I was punishing myself. Maybe they were right. But those gifts weren't really for Ethan. They were proof that somewhere inside me, hope was still alive. 3 years after the divorce, I became head of the English department. 2 years later, the school board promoted me to principal. Everyone congratulated me. Flowers filled my office. Parents shook my hand. Teachers applauded. I smiled for every photograph. Then I drove home to an empty house. Success has a strange way of feeling lonely when there's no one waiting to celebrate with you. Every Christmas, I mailed Ethan a card. Every Christmas, it came back unopened. Return to sender. No explanation. Just a cold red stamp. The first time, I thought it was a mistake. The second time, I called the post office. The third time, I stopped asking questions. I simply placed every returned envelope inside the same closet. I never knew. They had never reached my son. One afternoon, about 6 years after the divorce, I saw Ethan by accident. I was buying groceries. He was walking through the parking lot, carrying soccer gear. He had grown taller. His voice had changed. He looked almost like a teenager now. My heart raced. I wanted to call his name, just once. Ethan! But before I could, Michael opened the passenger door. Ethan got inside the car. They drove away. He never looked back. I stood there, holding a bag of apples, watching my son disappear for the second time. That night, I opened the closet. There were now 6 birthday presents, 6 Christmas gifts, 6 unopened letters. I ran my fingers across the boxes, then quietly whispered, "Happy 15th birthday. I hope you're happy." Meanwhile, Ethan believed something completely different. He believed his mother had forgotten him, because every birthday, his mailbox stayed empty. Every Christmas, his phone stayed silent. Every graduation, the seat beside his father was empty. At least, that's what he thought, because someone had made sure he never saw the truth. If you had asked me what my son thought about me 10 years after the divorce, I would have said, "I don't know." The truth was, I had spent so long imagining his life that I stopped asking what it actually looked like. While I was filling a closet with unopened birthday presents, Ethan was growing up, believing I had simply walked away. Every story has 2 sides. Sometimes both sides are hurting. At 18, Ethan stood 6 feet tall. He had his father's confidence and my stubbornness. He had graduated from high school with honors. Teachers admired him. Friends respected him. To the outside world, he looked like a young man who had everything. Inside, he carried questions he never asked out loud. One evening, he was helping Michael organize the garage. Cardboard boxes, old furniture, dust covering everything. Michael smiled. "Take anything you want. I'm finally cleaning this place." Ethan laughed. About time. They spent hours sorting through old memories, photo albums, camping equipment, broken bicycles, school trophies, life packed into boxes. Then Ethan noticed one small cardboard box, hidden behind an old bookshelf. It had no label, only a strip of faded tape. "What's this?" Michael glanced toward it. His smile disappeared, for just a second. Nothing important. Something in his father's voice felt different. Not angry, not nervous, just tired. Ethan reached for the box. Michael quickly stepped forward. "Leave it." Ethan frowned. "Why?" I said, "Leave it." It was the first time his father had ever sounded afraid. That night, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the box. Not because of what was inside, because of how his father reacted. Curiosity is a powerful thing, especially when you've spent your whole life believing there were no secrets left. 2 weeks later, Michael was admitted to the hospital. Chest pain, shortness of breath. The doctors wanted more tests, probably stress. That's what everyone hoped. Ethan stayed beside him for almost 12 hours. When Michael finally fell asleep, he drove home to pick up some clothes. The house felt strangely quiet. For the first time, there was no one there to tell him not to open the box. He walked into the garage, moved the bookshelf aside, picked up the dusty cardboard box. It was heavier than he expected. He carefully peeled away the old tape. Inside, there were dozens of envelopes. Each one had his name written on it. In handwriting, he recognized immediately. His mother's. He frowned. The first envelope read, "Happy 9th birthday, Ethan." The second, "Merry Christmas, my sweet boy." Then another, "Happy 10th birthday." Another, "Congratulations on your first soccer championship." Another, "Happy 13th birthday." Another, "Good luck on your first day of high school." His breathing became uneven. There were dozens of them, every year, every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone. His mother had written to him, again and again and again. His hands shook as he opened the first letter. "Dear Ethan, today you turn 9. I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I still baked your favorite chocolate cake. I even burned the first one, just like I always used to. I laughed through my tears because you always said burnt cake tasted better. I miss you every single day. Love forever. Mom." A tear landed on the page. Then another. "No," he whispered. "No." He opened another letter, then another, then another. Every single one ended exactly the same way. Love forever. Mom. Not once did she blame his father. Not once did she ask him to choose. Not once did she speak with anger. She simply loved him. Across every year, he thought she'd forgotten. He looked back into the box. Beneath the letters sat neatly wrapped presents, each with a gift tag, each untouched, one after another. 10 birthdays, 10 Christmases, waiting for him. Ethan slowly sat down on the cold garage floor. His world didn't shatter all at once. It cracked, quietly. Because the biggest lies aren't always the ones people tell. Sometimes they're the truths they keep from you. Then, at the very bottom of the box, he noticed one sealed white envelope. Different handwriting. His father's. Across the front were 6 words. "Open this only after, you know?" Ethan stared at it. His heartbeat echoed inside the silent garage. With trembling hands, he broke the seal. My father had always told me, never open a letter unless you're ready to hear the truth. As Ethan held that envelope, he realized he wasn't sure he was ready. But after 10 years of lies, the truth was all he had left. His fingers trembled as he unfolded the paper. The first line read, "Son, if you're reading this, it means you've already found your mother's letters." Ethan's heart sank. His father knew. He had always known. "Before you hate me, please let me tell you something I should have told you years ago. Nothing in this letter excuses what I did. It only explains it." Ethan swallowed hard and kept reading. "The day you chose to live with me, I told myself it would only be for a little while. I thought, once the divorce settled, your mother and I would learn how to co-parent. I was wrong. The first birthday card arrived. I looked at your name on the envelope, and I froze. I kept thinking, what if reading her words makes you leave me too?" Ethan closed his eyes. His father hadn't hidden the first letter because he hated Sarah. He hid it because he was afraid of losing the one person who still loved him unconditionally. After I hid the first letter, the second became easier, then the third. Eventually, I didn't know how to stop. Every year, I promised myself, this Christmas, I'll give them to you. But Christmas came, and I couldn't do it. Then your birthday came, and I couldn't do it either. My fear became your mother's silence. Ethan's hands shook violently. He remembered every birthday, every Christmas, every moment he had secretly wondered, why doesn't Mom care? Now he knew. She had cared. Every single day. The letter continued. You probably think, I stole 10 years from both of you. You're right. I did. There isn't a day. I don't regret it. But regret doesn't give people their time back. A tear rolled down Ethan's cheek. He had never seen his father apologize. Not once. Not in 18 years. Then he reached the final page. Yesterday, the doctors confirmed I have stage 4 lung cancer. I don't know how much time I have left. That's why I'm finally telling you the truth. If I die without fixing what I broke, then I don't deserve to call myself your father. Go find your mother. Don't go because I'm dying. Go because she spent 10 years loving you, without asking for anything in return. And son, if she cries when she sees you, let her. She earned those tears. The letter ended with only 2 words. I'm sorry. Nothing more. No excuses. No requests. Just, I'm sorry. Ethan sat motionless for nearly an hour. The garage felt impossibly quiet. His entire childhood had been built on one decision. A decision born from fear. He looked around the garage again. The wrapped gifts. The unopened letters. The years he could never get back. Then, he picked up the cardboard box. Every single letter. Every single gift. He carried them to his car. As he started the engine, his phone rang. It was the hospital. Mr. Mitchell? This is Dr. Anderson. We need you to come in. Your father just collapsed. Ethan gripped the steering wheel. His eyes drifted toward the passenger seat. The box. His mother's letters. Then toward the road leading to the hospital. For the first time in his life, he had to make a choice. Go to the father, who had lied to him, or go to the mother, who had loved him in silence. He whispered to himself, I can't lose either of them. Then, he turned the key and drove. The road split in 2. One highway led to the hospital. The other led to my mother's house. For several seconds, Ethan simply sat there. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly, his knuckles turned white. He whispered, I'm sorry, Dad. Then he turned the wheel toward my house. At that exact moment, I was locking the front door of my little house. It was Friday evening. The bakery across the street had just closed. Children rode bicycles down the sidewalk. Neighbors waved goodnight. Life looked completely ordinary. Funny, how ordinary life can look, right before everything changes. I picked up a grocery bag, walked toward my front porch. Then I noticed a car slowing down in front of my house. I didn't recognize it. The engine stopped. The driver's door opened. A young man stepped out. Tall, broad shoulders, dark hair. For a moment, I thought he'd gotten the wrong address. Then, he picked up a small cardboard box. My heart skipped. Something about the way he held it felt familiar. He slowly walked toward me. Every step felt heavier than the last. When he finally reached the porch, he couldn't speak. His lips trembled. His eyes filled with tears. I quietly asked, Can I help you? He looked directly at me, then whispered, Mom. Time disappeared. I stared at him. My grocery bag slipped from my hand. Oranges rolled across the porch. Neither of us noticed. Ethan. His name escaped my lips. Before my mind could catch up, he nodded, then held out the cardboard box. I found these. I looked down. Blue wrapping paper. Silver ribbons. My handwriting. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every year, I had waited. Every year, I had hoped. They were all there, exactly as I'd left them. My hands began to shake. You got them? He nodded. Then suddenly, he broke down. Not quietly, not politely. The kind of crying that comes from years of carrying something too heavy. I'm so sorry, Mom. I believed him. I believed you stopped loving me. Without thinking, I pulled him into my arms. He was taller than me now, stronger than me. But in that moment, he felt exactly like the little boy who used to cry after falling off his bicycle. I held him the way only a mother can, not asking questions, not demanding answers, just holding him. For nearly a minute, neither of us spoke. Sometimes, silence says everything. Finally, he looked at me. I read every letter. Every one? He nodded. I read them all. The birthday cakes, the Christmas cards, the stories about school, the way you signed every single one. He smiled through tears. Love forever. Mom, I couldn't stop crying. I never stopped writing. I know. I should have known. He looked around the living room. Everything was almost exactly the same. The old piano, the bookshelf, the family photographs. Then his eyes landed on the hallway. My room. I smiled weakly. It's still there. He slowly walked toward it, opened the door, stopped. Nothing had changed. The baseball posters, the dinosaur lamp, the shelf full of children's books. Even the height marks still covered the wall. Age 4, age 5, age 6, age 7. Then, nothing. No more lines, no more birthdays. 10 years, missing from the wall. Ethan gently placed his hand on the last mark. I forgot how small I was. I smiled through my tears. I didn't. He sat down on the bed, picked up the old stuffed dinosaur. I can't believe. You kept everything, I quietly answered. I wasn't keeping things. I was keeping hope. He looked at me. Mom, why didn't you come find me? The question hurt more than anything else. I took a slow breath. I tried. Every birthday, every Christmas, I mailed letters. I called. I even came to your soccer games. His eyebrows furrowed. What? I sat in the last row. You were there? Every championship, every school concert, every graduation. I watched you receive your diploma. You looked so proud. Ethan stared at me, as if the world had stopped making sense. I never saw you. I know. I left before the ceremony ended. Why? Because I promised myself I would never make your life harder. He covered his face with both hands. I wasted 10 years. I immediately shook my head. No, we lost 10 years. It wasn't just you. We both did. Then his phone vibrated. Once, twice, 3 times. Hospital, hospital, hospital. He looked down at the screen. His face turned pale. I have to tell you something. I nodded. What is it? He swallowed hard. Dad has cancer. The room fell completely silent. I looked at Ethan. Has cancer. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. The man I had spent 10 years trying to forget was suddenly fighting for his life. Life has a strange way of reminding you that pain doesn't cancel humanity. When did you find out? Ethan lowered his eyes. Today, he wrote me a letter. He admitted everything. He admitted he kept your letters. I slowly closed my eyes. Not because I was shocked, because after 10 years, I finally had the answer. I hated you, Ethan whispered. For years, I told people my mom chose her career over me. I thought you never cared. His voice cracked. And all this time, you were loving me from a distance. I gently placed my hand on his face. You were 8. You believed the adult who was supposed to protect you. This was never your fault. He hugged me again. This time, neither of us cried. Sometimes, after years of pain, there are no tears left, only relief. Then Ethan looked toward the door. Will you come with me? Where? To the hospital. I stayed silent. I don't know if Dad has much time. I think he wants to see you. For a long moment, I stared out the window. 10 years of memories rushed through my mind. Our wedding, the bakery, the courtroom, the empty birthdays, the unopened letters, the lonely Christmas mornings. Could one hospital visit erase all of that? No, it couldn't. But maybe it could end it. I quietly picked up my keys. Let's go. The hospital hallway felt colder than any courtroom. Room 417. Ethan stopped outside the door. I'll give you 2 a minute, I nodded, then slowly walked inside. Michael looked smaller, much smaller. The confident businessman who once filled every room was gone. Machines beeped softly beside him. His hair had turned almost completely gray. When he saw me, his eyes filled with tears. I wasn't sure. You'd come, I answered honestly. I almost didn't. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, He broke the silence. I'm sorry. I know. No, I don't think you do. He looked toward the window. I didn't just steal your son. I stole 10 birthdays, 10 Christmas mornings, 10 chances for him to tell you he loved you. His voice shook, and I'll die, knowing I can never give them back. I stood quietly beside his bed. You can't, he nodded. I know. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect another chance. I only wanted to tell you the truth before it was too late. I looked at him carefully. For the first time, I didn't see the man who had won custody. I saw a man who had spent 10 years living with the consequences of one terrible decision. That didn't erase what he did, but it explained why regret had aged him more than time ever could. I took a slow breath. I forgive you. Michael looked up, unable to believe what he'd heard. Then I quietly added, but forgiveness doesn't change the past. It simply means I'm tired. Instead of carrying the anger, a tear rolled down his face. Thank you. Just then, Ethan stepped into the room. His eyes moved from me to his father. Then, without saying a word, he took one of my hands and one of Michael's. For the first time in 10 years, the three of us stood together. Not as husband and wife, not as the family we once were, but as three people trying to heal from the same wound. Michael smiled weakly. You know, I always thought I was protecting you. He looked at Ethan. But fear never protects anyone. It only builds prisons you don't realize you're living in. Those were the last complete words he ever spoke. 3 days later, Michael passed away peacefully. His funeral was small, simple, exactly how he requested. After everyone left, Ethan and I remained, standing quietly beside the grave. I used to think I had to choose between my parents. He looked at me, but now I know a child should never have to. I smiled sadly. No, they shouldn't. 6 months later, life looked different. Not perfect, different. Ethan had moved into the apartment above my bakery while attending college. Every Sunday morning, he came downstairs, pretending he didn't know. I'd already baked his favorite cinnamon rolls. Some habits never change. And maybe that's a good thing. One afternoon, we finally opened the old cardboard box together. One gift at a time, age 9. The Lego spaceship, age 10. The baseball glove, age 11. The telescope. Each gift was a birthday. We never got to share. We laughed. We cried. Sometimes we did both at the same time. The very last envelope was different. It wasn't addressed to Ethan. It was addressed to me. Inside was a note written by him. Not the little boy who left the courtroom. The young man who found his way home. It read, Mom, I can't give you back the 10 years we lost. But if you'll let me, I'd like to spend the next 40 making new memories. Love forever. Your son. I folded the letter carefully, placed it beside all the others. Then I looked at Ethan, laughing with customers, inside the bakery. People sometimes ask me what the happiest day of my life was. The day I got married? No. The day my son was born? Close. The happiest day was the ordinary Tuesday, when I realized I no longer had to imagine what my son's laugh sounded like. Because after 10 years of silence, it had finally come home.